For the next couple of weeks, a lot of us are going to be under a self-imposed quarantine, and I feel like I've got some experience that might be able to speak into this, because for the last 10 years, I've been running my own business from home, yoyotricks.com, and what I found is that there's a lot of weeks when I'm almost accidentally self-quarantining. I just don't even go out for the whole week because it doesn't occur to me to do that because I'm just enjoying life at home so much with my family. And so whether you are single or whether you're at home with your family for these couple of weeks, I'm going to give you the top 10 things that you can do to not just survive, but to thrive under quarantine. Now, before we get too far into the list, I do think it's probably a goal of all of ours that through this whole time we stay mentally, emotionally, and physically healthy, and that's kind of what this list is about. And so one thing to keep in mind is that our brains are structured in such a way that they can only hold on to so much. And so in these unusual circumstances that we're in, it can be really easy to fall into fear or anxiety or just frustration that we can't always do exactly the thing that we want to do. And so much of this list is to help us stay physically healthy while we're in lockdown, but it's also to give our mind something to focus on, to engross ourselves in, so that we can fill up our mind with good things, things that contribute to our well-being, to push out all the negativity that it really isn't useful to focus on at the moment, so that we can just get on and actually benefit from this time that we have. So let's get to the list. The first thing I would recommend to anybody who is newly on lockdown is to build some structure into your day. Now, most of our days typically are already really structured, either because of work or because of school. We have to get up at a certain time, we have to eat by a certain time, we have to leave, and then when we're at work or at school, our days are very structured, and then we finally get home and we can relax and do whatever we want. And it would seem like the dream is to never have structure. And I'll admit, when I first started my own business, that seemed like it was the perfect goal, was to just be able to do whatever I want, whenever I want, as long as I'm making enough money. I'm totally free. And it turned out that that wasn't fantastic. And what I eventually found is that you can use structure in your day, especially when you have the whole day to work with, to build in those things that give you joy and those things that help you to become who you want to be. And so now you have kind of a prime opportunity to experiment with some new structures for you and for your family if you're all locked down together, or if it's you individually, you can create some new habits that are going to benefit you even beyond the period of time that you're locked down. And so what you really want to do is you want to think about, what are those things that if I did them every day, I would feel better about myself. I would be becoming who I want to be. I would be healthier. And so for me, what I typically do is when I wake up, the first thing I do is I work out. And then I come upstairs, and while I'm making my breakfast, my wife takes that as an opportunity to work out while I watch our daughter. And then in the evening, another thing that was really important to us is that music was just a part of our daily experience. And so we always have about a half hour to 45 minutes a night after we have dinner, and we just sit and play music together and sing. When my wife plays, I get to dance with my daughter, which I really love. And that's because those two things, staying healthy, so we were working out, but also having music be a part of our lives, that was so important to us. We built it into our daily structure. It's something we do every single day. And so this is a prime opportunity to kind of reconsider your whole life and ask yourself, what are those structures? What are those things that I could build in to lead me to where I want to go personally and with my family?
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Thank you, honey.
And so there are actually two books that I used when I was doing this that were really helpful. One is called The Power of Habit, which is more about the scientific way that our mind and our bodies use habits. And then the other one is called How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. And that one is just a little bit more practical. It's a little bit more wide-ranging. Both of those were unbelievably encouraging to me to help me to lay down these fundamental patterns to my day, which helped me not only feel better, but also to perform better the rest of the day. So I would highly encourage you to use this as an opportunity to do just that. Ever since the microwave was invented, I think a lot of us, we tend to think of food as a lot more functional, like how can we efficiently make it, efficiently get it into our bodies, as opposed to thinking of it as a craft that we could master. But we're in a different situation right now. We're not trying to be efficient with our time. We have kind of an excess of time. And so this is a really great opportunity to learn a new skill, maybe to learn a couple of new dishes that you can make. And not only will that improve your overall health if you're making healthier dishes, but it'll use up a lot of time. That time will be on your feet, which is going to be just better in general since you're probably going to be doing a lot of sitting. Now, if you have kids, one of the benefits of making meals is if you can actually have them help you make it, it is almost impossible for a kid to not eat a meal that they helped to prepare. And so if you have a kid who's a little bit more picky, a little bit more fussy with what they eat, this is a really good kind of like psychological trick you can play on your kids. Like, hey, help me make this meal. And then they'll just want to eat it because they participated in it. So it's kind of a two birds with one stone if you have kids. If you're by yourself, wow, you could spend so much of your day like really making an unbelievable meal. And then if you master one or two meals when you're done with lockdown, you can show off to your friends. You can all trade the meals that you've learned how to make. It's just a fantastic way to go. This is the prime opportunity to learn how to do just that. Now, if you do decide to start making meals or start making them more consistently, that's going to make this next one a little bit easier. And that is, you should try having all of your meals together as a family. Now, of course, this is assuming that you are quarantined or locked away with some other people. But I know that a lot of families have kind of gotten away from this. It's a little bit easier to just have everybody either make their own thing or after you make your food for everybody to separate and go watch whatever they want to or chat with other people on the internet. But there's actually a lot of benefits to especially kids and teens who eat with their families. And that kind of makes sense. If you are constantly engaging with your parents and with the rest of your siblings when you're young, then you're kind of being elevated to a higher level of conversation and awareness. The benefits are really there. I would really encourage you to do it, and I think that it's going to contribute in ways that you can't possibly expect. Now, another thing that I think could slip a lot of people's minds if you really don't think about it too much, and that is that you can actually use these things for more than texting. You can call other people or FaceTime. And I know that a lot of us in normal life circumstances, we hate getting phone calls. Why didn't you text me? Why did you have to call me about this? But in these circumstances, all of us, we all have free time. And so call somebody, like every day, call multiple people. And I'm sure that they're going to be thrilled to talk to you. They're going to be thrilled to just have a way to kind of get away from the boredom for a period of time. You know you always have it with you. It is called a phone. Use it as a phone and benefit from it. When we're done with the lockdown, you can go back to texting. Now, another thing that's always with us that we might forget because it's not always a part of everybody's routine is to just go outside. Even though we're all kind of locked down and we're trying not to have a lot of social contact with people, the outdoors is a pretty big place. So far, there's no sweeping recommendations that we stay inside completely. And so we can always get out there. We can still be by ourselves. We can keep our 6 feet or whatever it is that they're recommending these days. But just enjoy the outdoors, enjoy the smell of the air, the sun, just being outside of those walls that sometimes feel like they're encroaching in on us. And it's just a good thing that you don't want to forget about. It can really contribute quite a bit to your overall peace of mind to just have that as an option and to take it whenever you can. Now, one thing you probably don't want to hear, but is actually super helpful, especially when you're in kind of a closed-in space for a long time, is that it's very important to keep your place clean and tidy. Now, this really came home to me when I was in college and I was always writing papers and trying to produce a lot of work. When my desk was clean and I was starting a project, I could just make so much progress, and the more work I did, the more cluttered my desk got. And I would always get to this point where I just couldn't make any progress anymore. And my wife would come into my office and she'd clean up my desk, and all of a sudden it was like magic. I could just get back to work. And kind of our whole lives are like that. We may not notice it right away, but when our space is messy and unkempt, it just kind of eats away at us. And as we clean it up, it's like we clear out our insides a little bit as well. And so if you have kids, this is a good opportunity to institute, you might call them like quarantine protocols, that everybody has to keep their space as clean as possible. You know that you're going to want to kind of maintain that later, but it's a good change of routine for them to form some new habits that'll help everybody out. Just keeping all of your spaces clean, whether it's your kitchen, it'll use up part of your day, you're going to be on your feet. Just in general, it's good. It'll lead to a lot more peace in your mind, and it'll just help everybody to be a whole lot happier. Now, most of us live sedentary lives anyway, but my guess is that most of us, if we're in lockdown, we're actually going to be sitting even more than usual. And so something I would highly recommend is finding a stretching routine that you can do every day. Now, personally, when I started working from home and I found myself at my computer an awful lot, I was frequently getting headaches and just general muscle pain. And so I tried a whole bunch of different stuff, and the thing that worked was just spending about 15 minutes stretching every day. And so what I've done is I've linked to the routine that works for me, as well as the routine that seems to be working for my wife. These are both beginner routines. My daughter, she even loves to do them with us, and she's only 2. So it's something that you can do with the whole family. Again, just burn a little bit of time out of your day, but also just contribute to your overall well-being, which is going to make the whole experience a whole lot better. Now, this next thing could really be a list in itself, and that is, why don't you use this as an opportunity to fulfill a lifelong dream? Now, obviously, this has to be a dream that you can fulfill within the confines of your own home, but I think that there's a lot of things that all of us want to do that are just a little bit too big for us to fit into our normal days, but now we've got an excess of time. And so maybe you always wanted to learn a language. You can't learn the whole language, but you can get started, and a lot of times just taking that first step will actually give you the momentum you need to get there. Maybe you always wanted to read one of the great works of Western literature, so you could find a digital copy of the Iliad and the Odyssey and read it. Or maybe you always wanted to read through the Bible. Just whatever it is that is kind of in the back of your mind. Maybe you always wanted to write your own book. Just if you have just been looking for the time to do something, take this as an opportunity. Don't look at this as so much all the things that you're losing. Look at those things that you can possibly gain and take those first steps. And hopefully it'll lead you somewhere where you really want to go, somewhere that can continue even when the lockdown is all done and you're kind of back to normal life. Now, another thing that I've already kind of hinted at a little bit that can just contribute to your overall peace of mind is singing. Now, singing, if you're an American, it's something that we don't really do a whole lot publicly. I feel like we just have professionals that do it for us. And sometimes the closest a lot of us get to singing is just lip syncing with our favorite band. One of the surprising things that I found for myself, and I haven't done a lot of reading on this, but I have a feeling this will be true of you too, is if you're kind of feeling overwhelmed or anxious or you're just kind of full of things that you don't want to be in there, singing is one of the easiest ways to get rid of that. Now, you might be thinking, I'm in lockdown with my family, they don't want to hear me singing. Then sing together. Sing as a whole family. There is nothing more satisfying than singing with other people. And now again, you might be thinking, I don't really sing that well, or we really can't sing as a family. Honestly, what you can do is you can just play some song that all of you know, some song all of you like, preferably a song that the adults like. Kids kind of can get folded into just about anything, especially when they're little. Instead of doing all the little kid songs, they'll like whatever you like too. I mean, one of my daughter's favorite songs is Africa by Toto. Okay, that's not a kid's song, right? But she loves it. Just take a song that you love and just play it so loud that nobody else can hear you sing. But sing out, like really let it go. And there's something about singing, there's something about vocalizing, about just letting it out that really helps you to be peaceful. And so just give it a shot. If you are living by yourself, again, just do it with the radio, do it in the shower, do it wherever you can. And it just brings a sense of calm that really nothing else can. That was one of the things I really loved about picking up the ukulele, is just having an opportunity every single day to sing. That's why we built it into our routine as a family. It's just fundamentally good. I think you'll be surprised at how good it makes you feel if you're able to pull that off. Now, the last thing that I want to mention, and this is, I'll be frank, this is the self-serving part of the video, but it doesn't have to be. Just learn something new. It doesn't have to be a lifelong ambition, but if you're actively engaged in learning, you get kind of like this long-term good feeling of just overcoming and success. And I feel like one of the best ways to build your self-esteem is not necessarily to be constantly telling yourself that you're good, but is to go after something difficult and then succeed. And that seems to be, the more you do that, the more you can overcome adversity, even if it's in really small things. That's the way to really kind of recognize your own power, what you're really capable of. And so learning something small is a good way to get on that path. And so if you're interested in music but you never really took it up, I would totally recommend the ukulele. It's like the best first instrument that you can get. It's small. You can order them on Amazon. I'll link to the one that I use in the description. But if you're in lockdown, maybe in an apartment and people don't want to hear you playing, or if you're with a group of people, whether it be your family or not, it can be maybe a little more stressful to be doing music. And so if there was only something that you could learn that was really dynamic and cool, maybe something you could learn with your kids that didn't make noise, what could it be? Oh, you know what? Maybe yo-yoing. You know what? Yo-yoing is a lot more exciting. It's a lot more dynamic than a lot of people realize, as you've probably seen if you've watched this far into the video. And the cool thing about it is kids and adults can really enjoy it. You can learn it together. One thing that we do encourage is that if you have little kids, they're going to need some help with the first couple of tricks until they get the foundations down. So learning with your kids, it's something that will help them get to a point where they can start learning tricks on their own. We even built a system on our website that we call Level Up, so you can track your progress and you can check off those tricks as you learn them and then level up over time, which just makes the whole thing a lot more fun. And you can even kind of compete with friends to see who's got the highest level based on all the different things you've learned. So yeah, I just think learning something new, it's good overall, and all of these things that I've talked about, these are all things that you can do standing up, which, you know, you want to find those things that you can do standing because you're probably also already going to be doing a lot of sitting anyway. So those are our top 10 ways to kind of maintain your sanity through lockdown. If you found this video useful, please share it with other people and hopefully it will be a benefit to them as well. And if you have some ideas that we haven't mentioned, definitely put them in the comments. I'm sure that people will read those and will benefit from those as well. Of course, if you're interested in getting a yo-yo that is actually good for learning tricks, all the yo-yos that we used in this video are available on our site. And if you're learning how to yo-yo, definitely get our free app for Apple or Android devices and you can use that level up system we talked about. And I think that this time in our history is something that we're all going to remember for the rest of our lives. And so I hope that for the vast majority of us, it turns out on the whole to be a positive experience. Yes, one that we wouldn't have chosen, but maybe we lean into it a little bit and make the most of it and actually come out the other side a lot better. And I really hope that the ideas that we shared in this video can help you achieve that as well. And so if you have made it this far in the video, we really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.